Hi everyone, it's Chrissie and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another speed build. So this build is definitely a longer one. It's like 34 minutes long, just the speed build portion of it. And then we still have like the cinematic shots and the screenshots at the end. But yeah, so this is definitely a bit of a longer video than what I usually do. So grab a snack, grab a drink or whatever you want and settle in for like 34 minutes of me rambling about probably nothing and making no sense whatsoever. But yeah, so welcome back to another speed build, and this one is, like I said, a bit of a longer one because it's not really a bigger build than what I usually do, or at least the lot isn't all that bigger. This is just a 30 by 20 lot in Glimmerbrook, and I'm actually building this for my save file, so it's for my like rebuild Glimmerbrook project for my save. But yeah, it's only on a 30 by 20 lot in Glimmerbrook, so it's not even like a super big lot or anything. But I called this a MANOR simply because it's actually quite big on the inside and it's for like a really big family. So it's for a family of 8 Sims, and I will put a picture of the family on the screen so that you guys can know what they look like and kind of put like faces to the names that I'm going to mention, otherwise it will probably get really confusing. But yeah, so this is for the HEMLOCK family, and this house is 6 bedrooms and 5.5 bathrooms, and it turned out to be just over 280,000 simoleons. So it's a very expensive and, in my head, a very old house, because this family is actually one of the oldest families in Glimmerbrook. They're a very old Spellcaster family actually, so yeah, they're a bunch of witches, and I thought this would be perfect, not only because we're like in October, so we're in spooky month, but also because I really wanted to do another like supernatural build, or not really, it's not supernatural, but I wanted to do something for a supernatural family. And I've really been like enjoying creating supernatural families in the game recently. I don't know why I've really been liking like creating like occult sims and even playing with them. But yeah, recently I've really been enjoying that, so I wanted to like work on the more occult families of my save file and get a couple of those families done and actually work on their houses whilst I'm in the mood for it. So yeah, that's why we're building in Glimmerbrook, and like I said, this is a 6 bedroom, 5.5 bathroom house. And it's actually for 8 Sims. So we have the grandmother, Celine. Then we have her son and like the father of the household, Marcellus. And he's actually married to Alyssa. Now, Alyssa isn't a like ancient bloodline Sim. So she's still a witch. She's still a spellcaster. But the other Sims in the HEMLOCK family, so all of their kids and the grandma and, you know, all of the HEMLOCK family members, they're all technically the ancient bloodline Sims, so they all have the ancient bloodline spellcaster trait. But then we have Alyssa, who's, like I said, Marcellus's wife, and she only has the strong bloodline trait. So she's not as powerful as the rest of them are, but she's still pretty powerful, and she's more into like practical magic, and then also like alchemy and potion making, all of that stuff. But yeah, so we have Alyssa, her husband Marcellus, the grandmother Celine. We also have their oldest child, who's their teen daughter Mallory. They have their teen son Isaiah, and then they have twin girls called Ariadne and Althea. And they have their youngest son, who's called Caspian. So yeah, there's a really, really big family, and there's a ton of kids, and they're all spellcasters and everything like that. But then we also have another Sim that actually doesn't live in the household, but because it is for my save file, I decided to give Marcellus a sister. Her name is Rylan, and she's also a spellcaster. She's also like an ancient bloodline spellcaster, and she actually lives in Forgotten Hollow because she's married to a vampire, and she's married to like a really old vampire in Forgotten Hollow. At some point I'll be building their house here on the channel as well, and I'm going to maybe do it during October, November, but yeah, I'm not going to promise when that'll be out because it's going to be a really, really big house again. But yeah, she's actually married to a vampire, and yeah, so I kind of wanted to like I want to, because it is for my save file, I want to make sure that all of the families, or at least a lot of the families that I create, and a lot of the stories that I end up coming up with, I want to make sure that they kind of interconnect throughout the world. So these Sims, obviously, they live in Glimmerbrook, but they have siblings and they have like family members in Forgotten Hollow. And, you know, so obviously they have, you know, they have sisters and nieces and cousins and stuff like that in a totally different household and in a totally different world. So I want to make sure that all of the worlds are kind of connected that way, if that makes sense. I mean, I have another family, another household. I think it's like the Prentice something household. I can't remember their exact name. But that family is actually split up into 3 separate households, and they have like relatives in 3 separate worlds throughout the game. So yeah, it's very like interconnected, I guess I could say, and I really enjoy doing that. I really enjoy coming up with lore and with history for all of the Sims that I create, and coming up with, you know, extended families and stories for everyone, and, you know, all of that stuff. So that's something that I'm really trying to pay a lot of attention to with my save file, which is also why it's taking me so dang long to get the save file done and to get it to a point where I'm actually happy with it and want to release the first version of it. But I'm making progress on that front. I'm making progress on getting Willow Creek and Oasis Springs done, and then I will release the first version with, you know, all of the other random lots that I've done throughout the years in it complete as well. But I want to get those 2 neighborhoods done first and like completely finished off. And then obviously it will also have like a bunch of random builds, like in a not Willow Creek, but in Glimmerbrook and Forgotten Hollow, and all of like those random builds done. But yeah, so back to this family and this build. Before I get too off topic, like I said, this is a very long voiceover. So whenever I do really long voiceovers, I tend to get really off topic, and to do that like a lot during the voiceover, because I kind of forget what I was talking about, and I forget what I've already talked about, and then I just go off on tangents. But I'm going to try and stay on task for like 2 minutes whilst I talk about the family. But yeah, so like I mentioned, there's like 8 different Sims. They all have their own personalities and skills and like everything like that. They all have, I try to make them all as individual as possible, and kind of try and create a real sense of, I guess, I don't know, realism when it comes to their family dynamics and everything like that. So in the picture that I have on the screen, if you're keen-eyed, you might notice that all of the both of the teenagers and all 3 of the children all have their own like signature necklaces. So the necklaces that you can see in their pictures, those necklaces, they have them on throughout all of their outfits. And the reason I did that is because I want to create a sense of lore around some of the supernatural Sims. Now, this idea that I've come up with definitely isn't like an original idea. I don't know where I got the original idea for this from. It might have been from like a series or something that I watched. But in my head, I thought that because they're spellcasters and they're teenagers, children, all teenagers and children spellcasters get these like necklaces once they start showing their powers. So they're all different necklaces, but in my head, they've all been spelled with the same enchantment to help them control their powers. So because they're young, their powers are a little bit more like unruly and kind of not out of control, but a little bit more, I guess, uncontrolled. I guess they don't really know how to control them 100% yet, and it's a little bit all over the place. So they have these necklaces to try and keep their powers in control, keep them like stable, I guess I could also say. And that's just until they become young adults and they can actually control all of that on their own. But yeah, that's why both of the teenagers and all 3 of the children have these necklaces that they actually wear throughout all of their outfits. Now, you can see their other outfits if you want to download them. They are up on the gallery. And in the description, I will also have a link to the online gallery website where you can download these Sims as well as the build. But yeah, so both the build and the family are all up on the gallery, and I will leave my gallery ID in the description below, and I'll also have like I said, the gallery, online gallery website links, and then the tray files for the build will be up on my community tab for channel members after this video has come out. But yeah, so they all have, you know, those special necklaces that they wear, and it's kind of just a little bit of extra, I guess, history to like spellcasters, and I'm going to try and do this for all of the spellcaster families. I've already created 2 other families, and I've done both of those videos here on the channel. I don't think I did a creator sim of one of the families, and I believe I did the other family creator sim when the Realm of Magic pack came out. Or at least I built their house when the pack came out. But I did the other build on the channel as well. It's like a really big spellcaster's mansion. I'll leave a link in the description. In any case, I'll leave a link in the description to all of these videos and to the playlist that they're a part of. And I'll also leave it on the screen as well, if you want to go ahead and check out more spellcaster family builds or like spellcaster family creator sims, whatever. But yeah, so that's my kind of ramble about the like extra lore that I have behind the families, and I'm kind of doing this with the vampires in my save as well. All of the vampires have special rings that they wear, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's supposed to like protect them from the sun, kind of like, you know, it does in Vampire Diaries, or whether it's just maybe like a family heirloom type thing, so it's like a family like crest or something like that. But in any case, all of the vampires, I can't speak. All of the vampires have their special rings, and then all of the spellcasters have their special necklaces. And then I do have a couple of aliens in my save file as well, and I can't exactly remember if I gave them anything that's kind of like, I guess, a statement to like what they are. I don't think I did. I might have given them like a ring as well or something like that. But in any case, I'm trying to add a little bit more like lore and history to all of these sims, and trying to make a lot of the just random sims things just make a little bit more sense and make it a little bit more realistic. You know, if you can think that a vampire is realistic or something like that. But anyway, I'm rambling already. But to tell you guys a little bit more about the family, so like I said, we have the grandmother Celine, and she's actually the head of the household as well. She's actually on the like Spellcasters High Council, which is a club that I set up in my save file, and it's comprised of all of the spellcaster families, like the heads of all of the families. So she's actually the head of the family, and then obviously once she dies, her son will take over as the oldest. And then we have so Celine is basically, like I said, the head of the family. She's the grandmother. She's also really into like psychics and medium work, so she actually is a psychic. She's a psychic, and she actually works as a paranormal investigator. And then she's actually teaching her like knowledge, and she's passing all of that knowledge that she has about ghosts and spirits and all of that stuff. She's passing all of that on to Mallory. So that's the oldest teenager, so the teen girl. She's actually the oldest child as well. And all of that knowledge is being passed on to her because she's the oldest girl in the family, and she's also the firstborn. So in my head, the like, I guess, psychic powers in the family gets passed on to the oldest girl. So it's kind of like a bloodline thing where it kind of skips a generation. So we have Celine. Then she actually does have a daughter, like I said, that's living in Forgotten Hollow. But her powers, her psychic powers, actually skipped a generation. So from her, it went to her oldest granddaughter. And she's actually her favorite grandchild as well. I know you're not supposed to have favorites, but yeah, Mallory and Celine are actually really, really close. And yeah, they spend a lot of time together, you know, practicing and, you know, talking and all of that stuff. So yes, Celine is, like I said, working as a medium. She actually has a little setup in the basement where, you know, she practices, and she has her little like seance table and crystal ball and all of that stuff in the basement. And yeah, she and Mallory actually spend a lot of time down there. Then we have, like I said, the son, the dad, Marcellus, and he is actually a lecturer, so like a professor. And I'm in my head, He actually lectures at Brightchester University, and he teaches occult studies. So all of like the supernatural studies, occult studies, all of that stuff, you know, the history of witches and the lore and the like stories surrounding all of that stuff. That's kind of what he teaches. Now obviously in the game that's not a thing. It's not something, you know, you can't have your Sims specify that they're teaching a specific subject, but in my head that's what he teaches at Brightchester. And then we have the mom, Alyssa, and like I said, she's not the strongest of them. She's definitely the, you know, compared to Marcellus and Celine and even her kids, she's definitely not as strong as they are because she doesn't have the like ancient bloodline ties, but she does have a strong bloodline, so she is fairly powerful, but she mostly focuses on like practical spells and alchemy and, you know, potion making, stuff like that. So there's actually a really big like potion cauldron kind of room in the basement as well that, you know, she spends a lot of her time in, and she loves cooking, so that's kind of also where the alchemy comes in. And in my head, if we're talking like real life terms, she would be a kitchen witch. She would be someone that infuses all of her magic into food, into things that she makes and stuff like that. So she would do most of her magic in the kitchen and like with potions, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's Alyssa. Then we have Mallory. Like I said, she's the oldest. She's the oldest teen girl. She has, like I said, her grandmother's psychic abilities has passed on to her, so that's kind of what she's mostly focusing on. But she's also really good at mischief magic. So she's most proficient in mischief magic. She does know a couple of the untamed magic spells as well, but she's mostly into mischief magic, and she really likes causing mayhem. She's kind of mischievous, and I don't want to say evil, because I don't think I gave her the evil trait or even the mean trait, but she has one of the deviant like aspirations. So I believe she has like the mischief one. So she likes causing mischief. She likes getting into trouble and being smart enough to actually get herself out of it before she gets in trouble. So she likes causing mayhem, and she's smart enough to not get in trouble, if that makes sense. But then we also have the other teenager, Isaiah, and he's a few years younger than Mallory, but he definitely takes after his dad. He is the oldest son of the household, so he takes that responsibility of being the oldest son. And, you know, his sister is technically the oldest, but she is a little bit of a, like, I guess we could say black sheep of the family, even though she does get along really well with all of her family members. But yeah, she doesn't really do the whole like role model thing for her younger siblings. So Isaiah kind of takes that on himself, and he tries to be a good role model for his younger siblings, and, you know, he takes that really seriously. So he is a little bit of an overachiever. He takes after his dad, like I said, so he's really good at untamed magic. That's kind of what Marcellus is best at as well. So yeah, he's really good at untamed magic, but he also, you know, practices a little bit of alchemy, a little bit of like mischief magic and practical magic. He's like a jack of all trades, kind of. And then he's also really good at like school. He's like an A student. I mean, his sister is kind of failing. I believe I made Mallory like a D student in high school, whereas Isaiah is an A student. He's also really into like snowboarding and skiing, so in his bedroom you'll see that I actually ended up putting a couple of snowboards and skis on his wall with the tool mod, so that was really fun to do that. But yeah, he's like a little bit of an overachiever. He kind of tries to do everything and do everything like really, really well. And then we have the two twins, actually, Ariadne and Althea. Now, they're kind of different, but they're also very similar. They get along really well. So Ariadne is the oldest of the twins, and she's actually a social butterfly. And she does enjoy learning magic and practicing magic, but she actually really loves just, you know, socializing, being with her friends, you know, being kind of like a social butterfly, basically, which is actually her lifetime aspiration as a kid. And then we have Althea, who's her twin, and basically the exact opposite. So Whereas Ariadne enjoys like socializing, Althea just prefers like staying home and going through her family's like really old spell books and learning and, you know, teaching herself some new spells and stuff like that. So that's kind of what she prefers. And I actually gave her the Whiz Kid aspiration. And then we have the youngest son, whose name is Caspian, and he kind of doesn't really care about the fact that he's a spellcaster. I mean, he still learns. In my head, obviously, you can't have your adult Sims teach younger kids, you know, magic, stuff like that. It's not a really, like, family activity that the Sims can actually do. But in my head, you know, whenever their parents take them to teach them, or their oldest siblings take them and, like, teach them, like, magic lessons, stuff like that, you know, the twins are really, like, into it and love learning new spells and new magic things, whereas Caspian just doesn't really care about it. I mean, he goes to lessons, he learns what he needs to learn and all of that stuff, but it's not something that he kind of wants to do in his free time. So he's really artistic. I actually made him an art lover and gave him the creative prodigy, I think, like, aspiration. So he's really into art, painting, stuff like that. So yeah, so he's, because he is the youngest as well, he's kind of like his parents' baby, and they don't really put that much pressure on him to, you know, pay as much attention to his studies as they do with the other kids. So he can kind of just do whatever he wants to do, and he spends most of his time in his room painting, drawing, you know, doing arts and crafts and all of that stuff. So yeah, and in my head I also thought he was obviously the youngest of the kids, so he was maybe like 7 or so in my head, whereas the twins are maybe like 11 or something like that. So yeah, he's definitely the youngest, and he kind of has free reign to spend his time however he wants. Now, that's the whole family, and I noticed that we're about 22 minutes into this video, and yeah, I can't believe I've already talked for this long. I mean, I'm kind of wondering about what I'll talk about for the rest of the video, but yeah, so I completely forgot to mention earlier on in the video that because it is such a long speed build, and because it took me so long to do this build, I actually had about 8 hours worth of footage before I like sped it up. And after I sped it up, I had about an hour and 8 minutes long speed build. So I definitely had to go in and cut out a lot of this build. So there are so many things that I didn't show you, like that I didn't show the process of me doing them, like decorating, adding clutter, I mean like doing the hallways and doing all of the bathrooms, and I don't even think I showed me picking the wallpapers and flooring and all of that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot that I had to cut out of this video, but I'm gonna give you guys a quick rundown of what's in the house. So on the first floor where you enter the house, we have obviously an entryway, hallway, all of that stuff, but we also have a really big like living room. We have the really big kitchen with a little breakfast nook for the family. We have a formal dining room. We have a half bathroom that's like right by the front door, right by the staircase. We have a half bathroom for like guests and stuff to use. We also have Grandma Celine's room is on the first floor, and she has her own walk-in bath, like not walk-in bathroom, but she has her own ensuite bathroom. And then we go upstairs where we have all of the other bedrooms. So we have the master bedroom that we've already done at this point. The master bathroom, we have Mallory's room that we've already done. We have Caspian's room that we've already done as well, so the little kid's room. We're currently working on Isaiah's bedroom. And then we have the twins' room as well, which we're going to be working on right after we work on Isaiah's room. And yeah, the twins actually share a room, and they actually have their own bathroom, their own ensuite bathroom. In my head, I did that simply because they're twins, so maybe their parents decided to give them this bathroom. So, oh my word, I can't speak. I can't like form proper sentences. But in my head, their parents gave them this bedroom because they share the bedroom, so they decided to give them one with, you know, their own bathroom, so they don't have to share their bathroom with their other siblings. So yeah, they have their own bathroom, But then upstairs, those are all of the bedrooms. Upstairs, we also have, like I said, the master bathroom. That's an ensuite. And then we have 2 separate bathrooms that are kind of like shared bathrooms. But there's one that's closest to the staircase. And in my head, that bathroom is actually the one that Isaiah and Caspian would share. So the 2 boys would share that bathroom. And then the other bathroom is probably the one that Mallory would end up using. And she's probably the only one that would end up using that bathroom because the twins have their own one. And then going downstairs into the basement, you actually won't see me build the basement, but you will see me furnishing the like magic room after we do the twins bedroom. But yeah, so downstairs we actually have a little like tiny little hallway space that I ended up turning into a like laundry area. So I do have laundry in this house. I end up putting hampers in all of the bathrooms. So yeah, we have a little laundry space downstairs in the basement, and then we have some double doors leading into the magic room. So in the magic room, we actually have a bunch of bookcases. That's kind of like where they, in my head, I guess I should say, that's kind of where they have all of their like magic tomes and ancient spell books and stuff that they wouldn't necessarily leave lying around the house for just anyone to see. So yeah, obviously, you know, this family is probably not hiding the fact that they're spellcasters. I mean, Celine works as a medium, so she works with people, and people think that she's psychic and all of that stuff, whether they think she's faking it or whether they actually believe in that kind of stuff. It's totally up to you. But yeah, she actually works, obviously, like as a psychic and paranormal investigator, so the family isn't trying to hide the fact that they're actually spellcasters, but they try and keep the more like, not dangerous stuff, but just stuff that they wouldn't want just anyone getting access to. They actually keep all of that stuff in the basement. So in the basement they have the big like central area that has just some seating, a little table with a computer like laptop on it, a bunch of like bookcases like I said. And then they also have the like 2 extension bits. So one area is for potion making. It has like the cauldron and a bunch of like just herbs hanging and just clutter. And I tried to make it look as much like a functional, realistic potions room. So there's a bunch of clutter and just things that you would have in a magical potion room, I guess. I don't know exactly how to explain this, but as someone that does practice a little bit of like, I guess I should say like a little bit of, not Wicca, but yeah, just a little bit of pagan stuff, and I do identify as an eclectic witch myself, so I do work with herbs and crystals and all of that kind of stuff in real life. So this build for me is something that I really enjoyed building because it's something that I would love to have in my house one day, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, we have the potions room, and then the other little like extension bit is where we have the medium stuff for Celine. So she has her like crystal ball and her seance table and all of that stuff, and yeah, so she has a little bit of the paranormal pack. I used a lot of the paranormal pack in this build, actually. I really enjoyed using that pack and just using stuff that I don't usually use in my, like, typical suburban family homes. So, yeah, this build, like I said, because of, you know, me practicing stuff like that, me practicing witchcraft, like, in real life, that is something that I do. And just this build is something that kind of hit close to home for me, and something that it was something that I really enjoyed working on and just putting a lot of time and effort into, which is why it took me so long to build. But yeah, like I said, that's the whole build. And then we just have the exterior, we have the backyard that I end up doing. I did end up cutting out a lot of the landscaping, but there's not much of it because, you know, the house is rather big and the lot isn't super big, so yeah, there wasn't a lot of like free landscaping space for me to work with. But they do have a swimming pool in the backyard and a grill and just a little seating space. And they also have, I actually ended up using that like child toddler play tent thing that I think came with cottage living. I actually ended up putting that outside, so in my head, maybe the twins or Caspian set that up as their like little pretend castle in the backyard, and you know, they end up playing out there a lot. So yeah, that's just what I did with the backyard. Like I said, there wasn't a lot of space for me to go like crazy with it. And then I also end up putting a couple of planter boxes outside as well. Maybe they grow their own herbs or stuff like that. But yeah, I can actually hear my voice like totally going as I'm speaking, and I've been hearing this for a while now, but apologies if my voice has just gotten like raspier as the voiceover has gone on, because I can definitely hear my voice kind of giving out because I'm not used to speaking for like 30 minutes at a time. These days I've been mostly doing maybe like 15-20 minute voiceovers max. So yeah, doing like a 30-minute voiceover and speaking like really fast for 30 minutes, because I always end up speaking super fast in voiceovers. I don't know why. I think it's because I still get nervous when I do voiceovers. So when I get nervous, I end up speaking like really quickly and like actually not making sense when I talk. So I should probably slow down a little bit, maybe like take a breath and like just breathe for a second, because yeah, breathing, that's another thing that I do end up forgetting to do when I do voiceovers. So yeah, there's a lot of just me, like, I don't know, gasping for breath during a lot of my voiceovers. So I always have to go through and edit them and edit all of those like gasping for breath moments out of the voiceover, because it's really annoying having to listen to that. Or at least it is for me. Whenever I listen to my own voiceovers back, I always get really annoyed when I actually hear myself breathe, which is really stupid because everyone has to breathe, but I don't know why it bothers me when I can hear it in a voiceover. And it doesn't bother me when I listen to other people's voiceovers, it just bothers me when I listen to mine. So that's just a whole thing of like, we're our own worst critics, I guess. But yes, at this point I'm just talking out of my ass. And I have nothing else really left to say. We're working on the backyard. I don't really have to narrate it because you can clearly see what I'm doing. Like I said, it's not really that big of a backyard, so I didn't really have a lot of space to like decorate and go crazy with. So yeah, what you see is what you get with this build basically. And I did end up putting most of my attention onto the interior of this house, I'm not gonna lie. I did end up spending most of my time actually detailing and decorating the interior. So yeah, that's what took me this long to do. But I hope you guys enjoyed this build. If you did, give the video a like. And if you're new to the channel and you'd like to see some more Sims content, I mostly post speed builds, but I also do the occasional creator sim and like mod overview and patch overview and all of that stuff. I also post Sims 3 and Sims 2 builds occasionally. So if you're interested in any of that, feel free to hit the subscribe button and also turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified of whenever I upload a new video. And if you'd like to support the channel a little bit extra and do so in a more monetary way, then you can look into becoming a channel member by clicking on the little join button that's right next to the subscribe button. Or you can also go to the link in the description that says like join the channel or become a member, and click on that link, and that will tell you more about my channel memberships, all of the like perks and rewards that you can get by becoming a channel member, like early access to my videos, sneak peeks, you know, behind the scenes things, actually getting the tray files for all of my builds and all of that stuff. So if that's something that interests you, then definitely check that out. But yeah, this build is basically over, so I'm gonna like end my voiceover here. I hope you guys enjoyed this build, and I hope you're all having a great day, and I'll talk to you in my very next video. Bye everyone.